Welcome into the Trevor Staub Show, episode 39. Today we have a very special guest. We have Seppo Paju. Seppo recently, if you didn't see it, announced his retirement on Instagram from competitive disc golf, so had to get him on the show to talk to him about that decision and what things are going to look like for him moving forward. But first, we have a quick word from our friends over at Aura. I'm excited to partner with today's sponsor, Aura. Aura is an easy-to-use app that includes everything you need to stay safe online. Aura protects you from scammers and hackers by scanning the so-called dark web, where criminals sell stolen information looking for your emails, passwords, and social security numbers. It alerts you fast if it finds anything. They help you fight back against those annoying websites that make your personal information public by automatically requesting the removal of your info. This helps reduce robocalls. Aura also gives you near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries, like if someone was opening a loan or credit card in your name. Their VPN allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. And they protect your devices from viruses, malware, spyware, and more, so the bad guys can't break in. Or it even helps you manage what your kids can do on their devices. You can restrict specific apps, set screen time limits, and even set focus times to ensure your child is doing their homework instead of binging YouTube. Let Aura do the hard work by keeping you safe online. If you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link. You'll be shocked at how much of your private information Aura finds exposed over those 2 weeks. Go to aura.com/foundation disc golf to start your free trial. It's also linked below in the description. All right, we welcome on to the show our guest for this week. We have a very special guest, a European disc golf legend, arguably the best Finnish player of all time, Seppo Paju. Thank you so much for joining the show, Seppo.
Thanks for having me, and I'm a big fan of all of the things that you guys do.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you on. So obviously, a lot of people that are watching or listening know this, but just to kind of include the context, you made an announcement, a really big announcement on Monday that you'd be retiring from competitive disc golf after nearly 15-year professional career in the sport. Now that a few days have gone by, what has the reception been like from everybody, just within the disc golf community and the fans? You know, what's the general reception been like?
It's been very big, first of all. I was not expecting this many people to come up to me and comment on all of the videos and posts and, send me direct messages and all that. And it's been overwhelming, and I appreciate it so much that so many people come to me and say those nice things that they have to say, and it feels really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always cool seeing the disc golf community, get behind players that have been a part of the community for so long. Has it mostly just been congratulations, or has there been some people that are like, oh, why are you retiring? Like, you shouldn't have done this. Has there been anything like that?
It's been very small amount of that, and mostly it's been thank yous for things that I
Yeah.
have brought to disc golf, and especially from Finnish people. I think my impact within Finland and Europe has been maybe even a little bit bigger than it has been in the US, or of course has. So it's been thank yous a lot, and just very few people has been wondering why I did it, and I think that's fair. But really, there's no one other than myself knowing what to do actually.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So one thing I was wondering was, obviously, this announcement comes kind of at the end of a season before anything gets started with the 2023 season. But how long had you been thinking about retirement before ultimately making that decision?
I would say that it's been a thing for me for many years, to be honest, and
Okay.
it has never been a thing that I've been even close to doing until now. But as a professional competitor, it's very tough on your mind, and there are times when you think that is it even worth it to do it anymore. Especially for me, I don't know if other athletes feel the same way, but for me at least, it has been very demanding on my mind and also on my body. But
Hmm.
to this decision I got after my last win, which was in August, and I had been truly thinking about it for all of this season. But after that victory, I somehow felt a relief come out of me, and somehow I felt like I'm ready to let it go.
Yeah, definitely. I saw, you released a film. kind of talking about your retirement and some of the things that went into that decision. You mentioned in that film, I thought was interesting, that the high and the feeling of accomplishment that you get when you have a win is as high as it's ever been in your career. But the bumps and the kind of valleys that you feel during the struggles are also at their lowest at this point. What did you kind of mean by that? And also what are the driving factors that are leading to that effect in your mind?
I think it comes down to having to dig out of so many holes for so many years and just doing it so much that at this point, with everything that I have going on in my life, it feels like a little bit too much work to dig out of any more holes. So that's kind of what I meant by it. I got a shoulder injury a couple of years ago, and it's kind of led into this a little bit. I'm not blaming it at all, but it has kind of led into this in a way that I haven't been
Sure.
able to practice very much. And if I really wanted to take the next step or even stay on this level or on the level that I've been at my best, it would require a lot of work, not only on practicing disc golf, but I would have to get my shoulder ready also in order to even practice properly of my throwing.
Mm.
So this hole would just be so big to dig out of that I'm not really into it at the time because I have so many other good things going on, and I can
Yeah.
still play disc golf for fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely agree. When injuries come later in players' careers, it does get a lot harder to think about like the rehab process of getting yourself back on your feet. That's definitely a very demanding thing to do. One thing I was wondering is, being over in Europe, when COVID-19 happened, it really became impossible for European players to tour in the U.S. for a number of years. And it really kind of put a damper on the growth of European players on the U.S. tour. How difficult was it for you to get through that time? And do you think that could have been one of the things that led to you retiring earlier than maybe it would have been? Could things have been different?
Um, I don't think it mattered in this case. I think it was really fortunate for Finnish disc golf and even for myself that this happened. Of course, it's not a nice thing at all that it happened, but for Finnish disc
Yeah.
golf, COVID was a really good thing, and it might be even difficult for a lot of Americans to understand how big disc golf is here, and it has a lot to do with the fact that myself and all of the best players were right here and doing all of the
Yeah.
things right here with our native language, doing all the videos and all that. I think it played a huge role in how disc golf is right now in Finland.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it that way. Is it gave the top players in Finland a lot of time and opportunity to get plugged in and really help grow the sport on your home ground. That's definitely a really cool opportunity, and it's cool to hear that Finland had a lot of growth during COVID, like the U.S. did, because obviously a lot of different areas thrived during that time as far as the disc golf scene is concerned.
Mhm.
So one other thing I wanted to know, since obviously you mentioned you have some shoulder injury and a lot of other things going on, but you are still young. You have quite a few years left in your athletic prime. Um, is there a possibility you could return to the competitive side sometime in the future? Is that something you're just not thinking about, or are you writing it off completely?
It's I always have the door open, and I think that's the great part about all this, that I'm only 28. I mean, I'm not so
Yeah,
young, but of course I still have many years left if I wanted to. But
yeah,
yeah, I definitely, I like the fact that I can always come back if I want to, and I'm not trying to close that option out totally because it wouldn't make any sense. Of course, if I get the
yeah.
bug back and I feel like I could compete on the highest level of, I might play tournaments again, and who knows, I might even tour again. I don't know that either. But that's not a goal of mine at this point. But also a thing that I've been saying is that I'm not trying to get any worse now that I
Yeah.
quit playing tournaments.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's obviously, it makes sense to the sport changes so quickly that it definitely makes sense at your age to keep that door open and see what the future could hold. Um, so going from, being a touring professional, it's a very specific lifestyle. It's a very demanding lifestyle that really commands your schedule, and then for you, it's been the last 14 years. What do you think you're going to miss the most? There's obviously a lot of things to not miss about touring, but what do you think you will miss the most about being a touring professional?
Mm, I mean, there are many good things about, getting to travel, especially for the last years. I've been to many different places in Europe, not so much in the US, but also I went to US a couple times this year, which probably I won't do next year. So just the fact that I probably will travel a little bit less, but
Hmm.
I will, from what I will do in the future, I will, obviously work for Prodigy, and I will be doing some traveling into some tournaments and do work there. So I still get to travel and see different places, but that'll be a thing that I'll miss. I definitely won't travel as much as I did when I toured. And also, it is fun to be a disc golf pro and be one of the guys that's usually on the top and
Yeah.
be seen as that guy that everybody wants to come watch, and I'll definitely miss that a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think, stepping away from the competitive side, do you think after a while you'll miss having an outlet for your competitive drive? Is that something that you think um, you'll definitely miss having in the future, or is that something that you feel like you can let go and not really need a huge outlet for?
I think that's something that I do need on some level, and I'm very fortunate to actually have a lot of great disc golfers in my town. Like all of my closest friends are very good. They are near 1,000
Yeah.
rated players. A lot of them are even well over 1,000. Like Väinö Mäkelä, for example, he lives in my
Yeah.
city, and Lukas Rokkanen and Lauri Suominen, many great players. So whenever we play together, it's always a competition, and even though they are rounds for fun, but we always stay competitive. But I was also thinking about getting back to like leagues and stuff, which I haven't been
Yeah.
doing for years, and I really remember enjoying all that, but for some reason I haven't been into it for many years, and I really want to get back to that and see if that helps with the competitive bug.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's what one thing I was wondering is, if you would be interested in playing leagues. Are there a lot of local leagues near you that you kind of have available to play?
Yes, there is one big league going on in the winter, and I think that might be the only one at winter time. But in the summer, you could play a league every day if you go to different courses. There's league almost every
Oh,
day,
that's cool.
and also also inspired by Massachusetts team challenge, we are starting a team challenge here in my town. We're doing it with a little bit smaller scale, but it's just for fun and within the regional players.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's great to always have that option to be able to play the local leagues and have that competitive outlet. So we talked about what you'll miss the most about being a touring professional, but what are you looking forward to the most in retirement?
Well, it'll be the free weekends because I'll be working from Monday through Friday, just like regular working people. But I'm looking to have the weekend off because
Yeah.
I've been telling this to a lot of people as an example. But I was wanting to go to our summer cottage this spring with my friends, and everybody was up for it. And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And I'll just look at my schedule so we can see what weekend we can go. And I looked at it and I said that the next free weekend I have is in 14 weeks. So
Wow.
So that was something that got me thinking also about all this, and it was one of the factors. I really wanted to, for once, I wanted to have a summer where I can do other things too. Because, for example, I got into golf a couple years ago, but this year
Yeah.
I only got to play one round of golf. So I'm looking to do other things other than disc golf, which I'll be doing a lot of, but also other things like going to the cottage with friends and going to play golf and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's really exciting, being able to step away and actually have time to explore other hobbies because, a lot of people love the idea of being a touring disc golfer, and that's really cool, but you really do have to give your time exclusively to that because as much as it is a hobby, it's a serious living and it's your job. So that'll be certainly very exciting. I know one of the things you'll be busy with, obviously, you work with Prodigy Europe, and you have an important role there. Are you going to be taking on new roles and responsibilities with them now that you kind of have more time?
I'll be taking a little bit more of like a more specifically a certain role because for many years I haven't been fully working on really anything. It's been me playing and making a video here and there, and of course it has helped Prodigy grow and promote the brand. But actually, last winter we decided that I'll work half and play half. So for the last year it's been half work and half playing, but now for the last couple of months, I've been working full time, and my focus is going to be on the marketing side of things and
Okay.
specifically on the video side because that's something that I have a passion for, and I also think I have some skill for, and I've been doing it already for many years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think Prodigy has certainly had a lot of success over in Europe. Um, and it's a lot of people in the U.S. don't necessarily think about when we think about certain companies and how popular they are overall. A lot of people don't consider the Europe um, customer base. But am I correct in saying I think Prodigy is like one of the biggest companies, if not the biggest, in Europe? Is that right?
Yeah, it is right. And if we look at the sales that Power Grip posts. They're the largest
Yeah.
distributor or the largest retailer in Europe. Prodigy has been number one for over a year now.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool to see how they've been able to help grow the sport and become really popular over there in Europe. So, kind of taking a big look back over your career, looking back the last 15 years or so you've been playing, what would you say are like your favorite moments of your playing career?
Um, Probably the first very cool thing for me that happened was winning the amateur or the juniors world championships. And that was the same year
Yeah.
when Ricky Wysocki won 19 and under. I won 16 and under. Paige Bierkas or Paige Shu nowadays. She won also 16 and under, and David Wiggins won the amateurs division. That was a nice year,
Yeah.
and a lot of good players came from there. Uh, Also winning European Championships. Well, the same year I won the Worlds, I won European Championships in juniors by 28 strokes and got the USDTC spot from there. So that
Wow.
was also a cool thing for me to happen. 2014 European Championships, winning Simon by him going into the final round with three-stroke lead. That was a nice thing, especially
Oh
because
yeah.
Simon had been touring in the US and playing very good there, and he came to Europe just for that. And everybody thought he was going to win, but
Yeah.
I managed to get that. And of course, both of my Finnish championships, all of the Prodigy Disc Pro Tour wins, Euro Tour wins, European Pro Tour wins. But on the US side, I would say I always like my Beaver State show and Portland Open. I got second and third back-to-back weekends in both. I was one stroke off the sudden death for win. Waco, I got third. I haven't win
Yeah.
anything big other than I won the Goat Hill Challenge Maricopa Meadows, but they are kind of smaller events. Yeah, I would say those. I've been to President's Cup like 6 times,
Yeah, yeah.
things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah, certainly you've had a lot of awesome moments over your career and a lot of highlights, and you were able to, be a top player for a long time, and that alone is a really big accomplishment. Just staying relevant on the tour, for a large number of years is not something that a lot of players are able to do, especially as things have gotten bigger within the sport. Um, Another thing, like as you look back over everything, if you could do it all over again, if you could go back and do everything over again, is there anything you would change at all, or was it perfect just the way it happened?
Well, it is very easy to say that I would have done certain things differently, and of course I would have. But I just thought about this the other day that for me it was a little bit more difficult there than for some of the other Finns now because nobody else was showing me the way. Nobody from Finland had
Yeah.
done the thing where they go to US and they tour, and I was the first one that had to do it, and I was very happy to do so. But yeah, there was not nobody showing me how to do it or what to do and all that. So I'm very happy with everything that I've done, and it wasn't easy, but mainly I'm
Yeah.
happy with it. Of course, there are things that I could have done better or differently, but overall I'm pretty satisfied with it because it wasn't the easiest route.
Yeah, no, certainly. You definitely were, like you mentioned, kind of a pioneer for European players coming over to the U.S. tour, which is, there's certainly a lot of difficulties involved in that. And I think you really pushed the sport forward in that way and kind of paved the road for everybody else. I do want to talk a little bit about disc golf in Europe and Finland specifically, since you're really involved in the growth there. And I think European disc golf is just a subject that isn't discussed enough because I don't know if there's enough knowledge in the U.S. regarding it, and people kind of, they're almost completely separate things right now, and I think it's cool to like learn more about it. So, first thing I want to ask is, I think that when I look at the way disc golf is treated in Finland and in Europe, I see I see it treated almost in a way that is like almost sometimes more professional. They take it very seriously over there, and I always wonder, like, do you think that disc golf has the potential to grow as big or even bigger in Europe than it is in the U.S. down the road?
I would love to say yes, and I think there is a lot of truth in what you said that Finnish people and Europeans, well, mainly Finns, treat disc golf very professionally and all that. But I think USA is just the market for professional sports, and if we look at almost any sport, USA does it all the best, and I think it's great. I don't think there it's a bad thing. I think USA can have it, and I think it's they do it very good. I love Disc Golf Pro Tour and what they do with the live stream getting amazing nowadays and all that. And Europe is
Yeah.
definitely trying to do everything we can and grow it. And I'm not saying that we're not gonna grow to the same, but I think USA just has even better potential in that. And it's nothing away from us in Europe, but like for example, European Pro Tour, if you came to watch any of them or play any of them or followed the disc golf streams, a live stream on one of those, it would be very similar experience as the disc golf Pro Tour experience. And
Yeah.
yeah, disc golf pretty much is similar here. It is definitely a smaller scale. We don't have as many professionals. We don't have all the companies here. Similarly as you guys have there, we have a really good situation on companies here though, but it is still different in the U.S. More money involved, and that helps the growth to be faster.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me. Are there certain things in Finland that are holding back the growth of disc golf other than just time and money, or is it just pretty much time and money?
I think the growth of disc golf is just a little bit different. If we look at the numbers of players who play as their hobby, Finland is clearly the biggest disc golf country in the world, way above of any
Yeah.
state. But if we look at the professional side, which I was talking about just right there, I think that's what is smaller, and nothing necessarily is holding back from that. But Finland is a very small country. It's about the size of Florida with only 5.5 million people. So
Mm.
there's only so much that a country that size can do. And what is difficult for us
Yeah.
in Europe is that so many countries speak different languages and not everybody speaks English fluently. So it is a little bit more difficult to spread because with all the things that we do in Finland, we could spread all over Europe, but we do it most in Finnish, and that is only for the 5.5 million people.
Yeah.
So we are doing things in English, like the disc golf stream. You can choose if you want to have English commentary or Finnish commentary. So it is for everybody. But that for example is a little bit of a challenge. But I want to talk about a little bit of the difference in the regular player in Europe or in Finland specifically. When the COVID happened and none of the kids that play ice hockey or soccer or any of the big team sports,
Hmm.
they weren't able to get to the arena and practice, or their team was not able to practice together. So all of the kids had to do something else. And at the same time as that was happening, also myself and Väinö Mäkelä and a couple others were doing YouTube videos. So those started trending on Finnish YouTube, and all the kids were staying at home and watching YouTube videos, and that got them all into disc golf. And we now have tens of thousands of juniors that are 10 to 15 years old, which is something that I don't see a lot in the US.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest difference right now. And yeah, we got tons of regular players from COVID, and overall Finland was already in a really good place with that.
Yeah, I think I mean there's certainly a lot of young talent that is has already been identified and is starting to make its way over to the US tour. And do you think that as the US tour gets bigger and there's more money, will that start luring junior players from Finland to want to become a professional so that they can get to the US, like that could motivate them?
Yes, of course. Right now, the European Pro Tour and the Finnish Pro Tour, which is sponsored by us, so it's called Prodigy Disc Pro Tour. They are getting also so big that I think the new players from Finland, that's going to be their first thing. They really want to get to the Prodigy
Yeah.
Pro Tour first, and then the European Pro Tour. And I have even been thinking about this, that since the tour is growing in Europe so much, that I think we're going to see some Americans come here and
Yeah.
tour, kind of as a in NHL there's the farm league, or I don't know what it's called, but the minor league
Yeah.
sort of. But the level here is just perfect for some players. Like I was even thinking that Brody Smith, for example, he's a really good player, but he has never won anything. So it would be a
Right.
really good idea for him to come here and play with players that are equal to his level, and he would get those battles for the win. So I think we're actually going to see a lot of that happening in the future.
That would be yeah, that would be super cool. I think that there's certainly room for that in the sport, and that's kind of how golf has been. There's you have a European tour in golf, and there's an Asian tour, and there's a few other smaller tours. And disc golf doesn't really have that yet. And I do think that the European tour could be like the perfect place for that to exist, to where you get a
Mhm.
competitive level of disc golf. Um, and you have all of the European countries able to focus on that tour instead of the U.S. having any kind of split between two on their own soil. So that would certainly be really cool. I mean I would certainly love to come and see some European events. I think we're trying to get out there sometime in the future to see the European disc golf scene and what it's like over there for sure. But
Yeah.
one last question, before I let you go, I just wanted to kind of get a broad question here. How do you want to be remembered in the sport of disc golf? With your career kind of behind you, but still being involved. When it's all said and done, how do you want people to remember you in the sport?
Well, I think the messages and comments that I have received is they are the exact way that I want to be remembered, and I think it couldn't be any better because the messages have been mainly about me being a fair player and a gentleman and a great ambassador for the sport, and I don't think there's really anything better for anybody to hope for. I didn't become the greatest player of all time, which was my goal when I was younger, but I think I can live with the success that I had, and I like that for now at least, I am remembered as a fair player, and I think that's great. But even though my competitive disc golf career is over now, I will be very much involved in disc golf, and people will be seeing me, and I'll be hopefully remembered by growing the sport and doing a lot of things that people can enjoy within the sport.
Yeah, that's awesome. I certainly look forward to seeing how you're able to impact the sport over in Finland and in Europe as a whole, and just seeing what the future holds for you with Prodigy as well. You had an awesome career, and it's been great to watch you, but I'm sure the next part will be just as influential as the first. But overall, Seppo, thank you so much for joining the show today. It was great hearing from you and hearing about your career and your plans.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks once again to Seppo for joining the show. It was great hearing from him, just kind of getting an overview of his disc golf career and hearing about how excited he is to move forward into the more of the business side of the sport and growing the sport over there in Finland. I'm super excited personally to see what he's able to do. Just putting all of his effort into growing the sport over there and just seeing what the future holds for him. But be here next Thursday. We'll have another great guest, and we'll see you then.